long ago and was having a beer with my wife. And I said, this could be kind of fun because I like meeting people and hanging out with folks. And so that kind of is how it happened. So I started in April. I was thinking the other day, I've been here almost a year.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's gone fast. Yeah. But I had bartending, restaurant experience like everybody going through college in my
Right.
background, you bus table, all that stuff. So it wasn't real foreign to me. So yeah, I started here with Jace and Star Hill and got to meet Eleanor and great people here. It's really a cool spot. It's funny. Typically on Saturdays, we'll get visitors from all over the country.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't realize, they're in Charlottesville. Like, oh, cool, Charlottesville, UVA, Charlotte, and they talk about the area, but they really love coming here because you can get anything you want to eat,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
get almost anything you want to drink. Our beer's incredible and we have nice people. So it's a nice spot. And it's funny because friends are telling friends in Pennsylvania or North Carolina or South Carolina. So, it's not unusual to have a couple come in and say, yeah, Bill told me and Susie told me to come to Star Hill and I can have a burger there. So, so that's starting to happen. That's a lot of fun.
What's the footprint of Star Hill? I mean, how far do you guys, is it national or?
Regional, Virginia.
Just-
We do some contract brewing for people. We're actually, so when you think of Star Hill, you think about, the original Star Hill downtown
On West Main.
Right on West Main, and we're that and on steroids. So we have several tap rooms in Virginia. Crozet is a small tap room, but that's where all the beers brewed, or about 85% of it. And then typically each satellite Star Hill brewery has the ability to brew their own beer.
Mm-hmm.
So our little brewery right there, we can brew and do several times a year. So it's, people come in and they can watch the beer ferment.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool.
That's kind of like the little loophole, right? That's what you don't have to sell food.
Because they're manufacturer.
You're actually the brewer right here.
Yeah. So breweries, local breweries are really the only bars in Virginia because otherwise you have to sell at least 50% of your alcohol tax in food. So like any restaurant you go into, they can have a bar, but they have to sell a lot of food to make up for that.
This is technically a brewery with a tasting room, right? Is that kind of
Correct?
Right?
Yeah.
So why is that, Eleanor?
Because
it's horrible.
ABC, it's just the Commonwealth. That's how they set up their laws.
In my head, it's for people's safety so they don't drink too much.
I'm sure that's what they say.
No, you can get hammered here too.
Well, you
Yeah.
get hammered at any bar
You
or any
can.
restaurant, right? But it's, but also we have to have
Right.
ABC certified bartenders and stuff
Mhm.
on staff. And, it is the bar's responsibility to make sure that they don't allow people to leave intoxicated and drive home because they could be liable as the restaurant or the bar. There's all sorts of funny little ABC laws that nobody even really considers. So like here we have 2 different ABC licenses in the building. Star Hill, which is just the footprint of inside their stall and their patio. And then the Milkman's South and Central, which is owned by the same person. And they do the common area and the patio, the other part of the patio. And now Citizen Burger is actually getting their ABC license too, so that they can have some things right inside their little stall as well. So that will be another ABC license. But you can't take a Star Hill beer into the rest of the hall, and you can't take a Milkman's drink into Star Hill because ABC says that that's against the law because they can't overlap.
Makes sense, Sarah?
It does make sense. I know that the process of getting an ABC license is not an easy one.
No. And now we're just gonna
Yeah.
ask. But no, it isn't, and it does take a really long time sometimes. And right now they're very, very slow. So like, we'll have an event, and if we don't plan for an ABC license, like if Star Hill is going to help us with an event, if we don't plan for it for a couple of months ahead of time, then there's no way that we're going to get it. We can't do it that way.
What's the most popular beer that you guys sell?
Ramble On's probably our most popular. So in Star Hill, we think about it as what sells in the stores the most and what sells in the tap rooms the most. Tap rooms, it's Ramble On. In the stores, it's Northern Lights. Northern Lights, we're celebrating its 15th anniversary. So we've brewed 3 beers that are Northern Lights ish and fundamentally a Northern Lights beer, but we changed it a little bit. But yeah, we sell, I mean, a ton of that. Plus, we have 24 taps.
Mhm.
Like typically, there's 24 different beers at Star Hill.
Really? I did
Yeah,
not realize
isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
you go most places 8, 10, 12,
Yeah, at the
depending on the
most.
size, and it's 24. And so I do our beer ordering. So every week, it's not unusual to have 3 or 4 different flavors of beers than the week before. Our brewers are like, they're always playing around.
Just
with
messing
stuff.
around in there.
Mhm.
Mad scientists. What's been
That's
your
a
favorite?
good. That's a good. My favorite.
Yeah. Maybe not the one that's here right now,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
of all time.
Northern Lights.
Northern Lights.
Yeah, like that's just it probably doesn't. I mean, it's popular. People, I think, understand it and like it, but it's just a really good traditional IPA, and I can sell that if people are just starting to drink IPAs, it's a little like getting used to Scotch or bourbon. You
Mm-hmm.
have to acquire a taste for it. The first time you had bourbon, you probably spit it out. The first time you had Scotch, you probably spit it out twice. But over time,
Still do.
Nathan doesn't.
yeah. Well, but
He's
okay,
special.
let me try it again. And then pretty soon, a month later, you're like going to the ABC store buying bottles of it.
Stand in line.
Yeah, right. So IPAs are a little like that. So, if you just want to start somebody out with just a traditional good India Pale Ale IPA, probably Northern Lights.
So that's a good overall. So let's say that I'm an IPA guy.
Yeah.
I say, give me something I've never had before. What's the one that's going to really?
Well, if you said something that you've never had before, I would probably then say, do you like hazy IPAs?
I do.
Which is all the rage. Well, that's Ramble On.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's our hazy or one of. We typically, like today, I think we have 3 hazy IPAs.
Really?
Everybody's in love with a hazy IPA. They're good beer.
What makes it a hazy IPA? Sorry, Eleanor.
Sorry?
I'm curious now. I
Yeah.
see that all the time. and I'm
It's
like,
a combination
looks
of the,
hazy.
of the-
Color.
basically it's the yeast that you
Yeah.
use,
Okay.
right? So the yeast, like when you make beer, it's sugar water, wort.
Mhm.
And then when you throw a yeast in it, that's what you get the alcohol, a lot of the flavor, most of the flavor from. And inside that yeast, depending upon how it carbon or not carbonates, but depending upon how it flocculates, sometimes it's real clear and bright, like most beers. And sometimes it's hazy.
So flocculation. You got
I've
that?
never heard that word before.
Can you
Yeah.
spell it?
Look at all
I mean,
you're learning today on the.
I know,
I
it's-
know. I love listening to you talk about that. You talk about you transition from teaching career or education in general into this career, and a lot of people in the restaurant industry don't. They'll see a bartender or someone who's making juice, and they don't really get the fullness
Yeah.
that it is actually a career, a lifestyle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And hearing your commitment and knowledge about it is so awesome.
My wife and I homebrewed for about 20 years.
Oh, wow.
Like just started making our own beer, right?
Yeah.
And it's a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun. And you can take the same ingredients and just tweak the recipe a little bit, or you can change the temperature of a couple things, and it doesn't taste anything like the recipe you made before, but exactly
Yeah.
the same ingredients.
Yeah, I know we've talked about this before. I first moved to Charlottesville in 1999 and took a job at South Street Brewery.
Yeah.
And that was the year Star Hill opened on West Main Street.
Yep.
And I remember when they opened, my brother-in-law was the brewer and then eventually one of the owners over at South Street. And I remember working with Mark, who was the original brewer over at Star Hill, and all the different things they would do together. And, off and on, I think I worked at South Street, like 10 years or something, right? And I did a lot of things. I brewed a lot and everything too. And it was so interesting to me that there were so many more combinations that you could make a beer into than you could even make a wine.
Oh, yeah.
People think about like flavors and complexity of wine and like tasting those and, how they make that happen. But beer, it's like 100 times more different. Like you can make so many different combinations and flavors. It really is almost endless. And that was always really interesting to me.
When I first started home brewing, I grew up, I'm a native of Michigan, not far from Kalamazoo. And I used to go to this little store in Kalamazoo, Michigan to buy my brewing supplies because that's the only place you could get them. And it was named the Eccentric Cafe, owned by a guy named Larry Bell.
What's eccentric?
No, Bell's Brewery. Is that very? Bell?
Yeah,
Bell's
Bell's
Brewery.
Brewery.
Get out of town.
So he started in a little tiny, like you guys, have you ever been to Fifth Seasons and Rockfish and
Yeah.
seen their brewing? Not a lot bigger than that.
That's
And
crazy.
he made a couple beers and you could
Yeah.
go hang out. Hey,
Is
Larry,
it
man.
so bad?
Yeah, exactly. Hey, Larry, how'd you make that? I got to use this yeast and and now, I mean, he just sold it. I think it's been a year ago in January, but he found like Mark Thompson, like all breweries do that get big, one or two beers everybody likes.
Hop Slam.
Let
Keep
it
it going.
Hop Slam, Two Hearted, whatever.
Yeah.
And kaboom, now you're going, oh geez, I'm going to start my own brewery. So
Yeah.
plus what always interests me is pubs and people and getting together.
Mhm.
Historically in this country, brew, like now in the last 30 years is in breweries and people, isn't this great thing? Historically, every little town used to have one.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like before
It's a public house.
it's a public, exactly.
Yeah.
So like Thomas Jefferson, John Adams, Washington, the founding fathers had a lot of great ideas over a beer or a glass of wine.
I was watching a special and they were interviewing these guys and they was like, what are the things that changed the history of the world? And the one guy's answer was fermentation.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And he went on to talk about how
Yeah.
fermentation, how it's just you're able to transport stuff now, and then the community and just the ideas and things that have popped up, like you said, over a pint.
Yeah.
It's just pretty crazy.
Do you
Stop and think about it. Like I'll be like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday is typically pretty slow here. And there'll be people that come in, business people come in this very room and they'll be chatting and they have, you can hear them, lots of big ideas on pint number 2.
Right.
Pint number 2.
I love when I
pint number 3.
walk by and there's like all business meetings and stuff happening. And
You
it's just
gotta,
lounge during the day. I love
lubricate
it.
the gears up there.
Yeah.
Give 'em
Yeah.
that.
Nathan knows
That's
a bit about that.
Pint number 4, maybe not so much, but
That's right.
I don't know. There might be some good ideas at pint number 4.
Well, Larry Allen, here's the plug for day drinking. Here we go. This is science, people. I'm not
Better be
making this up.
sponsored.
Larry Allen, the Microsoft guy, he's done a study. Have you heard about this? And it's the ideal, like your brain works at a much higher level at like about a 2.8% alcohol level or something like that. And that may be a half a beer for you. It may be, but if you can figure out what that is, and so he's figured it out and he drinks that amount of alcohol every day. And that's your ideal operating thing. It kind of frees things up. It kind of knocks down some of the inhibitions that you can be like, we can't do that. You're like, maybe we can do that.
brain lube.
Right. Yeah. Brain lube, man.
Yeah.
In golf, we call it birdie juice. Come on. You gotta get the swing going.
Do you think some of your interest in this is from your genetics? Because we originally asked you to be on the show because of St. Patrick's Day,
Yeah.
and you have some Irish heritage, right?
I have so my last name ends with an ICH, and my father's side of the family are Russian, Croatian, and so my wife about 3 years ago for Father's Day got 23andMe because I never had my head wrapped around my genetics. So I did it, and like a month later got the stuff back. I'm like 72% Scotch Irish. My last name ends with an ICH. So yes, County Cork, County Kerry.
There you go.
Yes,
I'm a lord in County Kerry. I did one of those things where you buy like a square yard of
Oh,
land.
yeah.
There
You
you
gotta.
go.
So
Be
I mean, if you
Kerry
want from
Lord.
now on, if back there behind the scenes, if you want to just call me Lord, you can.
Lord
That
Nathan.
can be done now.
I mean, I did think you were going to wear a kilt today, but
So I did not talk to you before
we talked
this.
about it.
My birthday's coming up, and my wife a month or two ago said, "What do you want for your birthday?" I said, "I want a kilt." So there's a kilt on the way. Why
There's
are you
a kilt on the
snickering?
way. She wanted the kilt.
I know. I want
I'm
the kilt.
I'm
Behind the
like,
scenes,
do it
Sydney's
again.
losing her
I'm
mind
like
right now. She's like,
mostly
"Where's the
Irish.
kill?"
There's
I'm
not
like,
enough people wear kilts.
I'm mostly Irish, and my last name is Porter. And basically, if you go to Ireland and you meet a Robert John Porter, he's related to me somehow. But yeah, like even I feel like the red Irish skin, everything. I don't tan, I burn. This is tan.
But do you have a
It's
kilt?
a lovely shade of pink.
Very.
You have the kilt.
Mauve.
I know because that's Scottish, and I'm not really Scottish. I'm
Okay.
mostly
Well,
Irish.
what can you
Because
talk
he
about
has
the
Scottish
kilt?
Irish.
Like what? Why did you want a kilt? What's the significance?
Because he does
of
have
the
more
kilt?
Scottish in him.
Yeah,
That makes
like
him want to kill.
my mother's side of the family.
Readability.
But what do you do with the kilt? Yeah.
What do you do with a kilt?
Yeah.
You wear it.
I know, but it's like, do you wear it on a specific occasion? Are you playing bagpipes
Yeah,
when you go
no,
down?
I don't play the
No,
bagpipes.
you just you're killed just to be a boss.
Yeah,
My,
you know, like-
my aunt is Scottish, and my uncle, who was my dad's brother, is Irish. But they wore kilts. Like my uncle would wear kilts to like weddings and things like that.
Yeah,
It's like the
occasions.
formal
But
attire.
the real question of a kilt is, what do you wear under?
I knew you were going to say that.
You don't
Come
wear
on.
anything under the kilt.
That's
I,
right.
I was told before this podcast there's certain rules we have to observe. So
Ah,
I will not
Sydney's
Expound
losing it.
upon that.
I'd
Although
say
I have to
damn
do
if
some
you know we
research.
can't say
So I guess once you get your kilt after your birthday, we can all come to Star Hill.
But no, there's no question.
Yeah.
that.
Well,
Absolutely.
and if you grew up in the Northeast around Boston, or I grew up around an hour and a half from Chicago, you can go there fairly often in the middle of the week. Somebody's wearing a kilt. Not that uncommon. And there's a lot of Scotch Irish here.
Yeah.
In fact, I found out when my mother's side of the family immigrated from the UK, they came to Virginia. So my roots are Virginians. My buddies used to call me the Yankee because I grew up in the North. I'm
Yeah.
Like,
Well, you got to figure. You
Not
go
so
to
fast, my
The
friend.
Highlands, the mountains. It's not that big of a
It's
change.
exactly why they ended up here. One of the reasons.
So
Yeah.
what brought you back here? Because you didn't know about your roots before. Yeah.
No. My wife and I were sent. It was about this time of year in Albany, New York. Our sons had graduated from high school. And it was cold, rainy, and crappy weather. My wife said, "We're out of here." I said, "Okay." And she had her laptop open, and she said, "There's a job in Harrisonburg, Virginia. Can you do this job?" And I said, "Well, that's my wife doesn't sound anything like that."
Hey, easy there,
All right, let me back up.
darling.
So my wife said very nicely and lovingly in her wonderful voice, "Can you do that job?" And I said, "Yes." She said, "Good, you just applied." So 3 days later, I had a job as a superintendent. That's how we got to Virginia.
I don't know. I think we talked about it before we came on, but like you were a principal, assistant superintendent,
Yeah.
football coach. I mean,
Yeah.
you had quite a run.
Yeah, it's I've just been out long enough now that it's kind of sinking in the things I did and didn't do and said and didn't say. And I got on Facebook like a year ago. I promised myself I would never do that, but now I can hear from all my students and players.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And hey, coach, do you remember when? I just got one this weekend.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure, absolutely.
Um,
Any big famous guys that under your tutelage?
Not anybody that you would know of. A young man named Rick Bowles played at Grand Valley. I had a few people who played at Grand Valley State University, which is in Michigan. Brian Kelly was the head football coach at Grand Valley,
Know that
who
name.
later went to Notre Dame. I met him. Quick story. I went on the recruiting visit with a player and his mom, and I'm going to Grand Valley. And then over the weekend, the head football coach at Grand Valley left, and I called him and I said, "Hey, he left. Your coach left. The guy you signed up to play for." So we went back to Grand Valley a few days later, and the athletic director had his letter of commitment on a table. He said, "Listen, we pulled a fast one on you because you had to. So if you want to rip it up, we'll rip it up. But before you do, I want you to meet this guy, our new head coach named Brian Kelly."
He might be
And so
okay.
here comes Brian Kelly. He's my age, roughly. I think he's a year older than I am. So I hung out half a day with Brian Kelly in 1990, and he was just happy with it. And he did everything at that school. And people don't realize all the things your teachers, the teachers of your children,
Mhm.
the administrators, they don't have any concept of what they do, really. But he's probably, I had a young man named Jason Meyer, who was a two-time All-American at Central Michigan University, drafted by the Cleveland Browns. But those aren't. Jason Babin was an NFL player, but I didn't coach him. He was 2 years behind if I'd have
Wow.
stuck around long enough. But yeah, I mean, it was Midwestern football. It was Friday Night Lights.
That's
It
I love me some Coach Taylor.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
speaking of athletics, and maybe you can address this as well. Star Hill will be is one of the sponsors of the 10
That's a
miler.
segue right there.
So yeah, we're sponsoring the 10 miler, and so is Star Hill. They are donating $1 for every pint of love
Yep.
sold during the race. Correct?
Yep, that's right.
We're all opening early. We're the official watch location, so we'll have stuff outside for everybody, music and everything else. And Star Hill's opening an hour early so that we can start drinking early, which is always nice. And we're the official after party for all the runners. All
Nice.
2,200 of them are invited to
Yeah.
come and hang out after.
Yeah, they say something if you drink a beer after
It's really
a
good
long
for you.
run is supposed to be good for you.
Are you a runner? I'm a runner.
I'm a cyclist. I
Yeah,
can
so-
run, but I don't.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm a
That's
runner.
how
I
I
ran
know
the
you.
10 miler last year, and really, like, you need fluid and sugar,
Uh-huh.
and that's what you need. And beer's great for that.
And pickle juice.
pickle juice.
I've had pickle juice in a run before.
If you have a, if you have
Gummy
trouble
bears and beer,
staying
that's all I
hydrated,
need.
pickle juice is
Really?
Yeah,
oh, yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
salt.
it's got that salt.
Yeah.
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 Plus, it's delicious.
Yeah.
But also, we're doing, and I just announced it yesterday, so maybe you guys don't even know about it, but we're doing our monthly event at Star Hill in this very room.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Um,
Our
on-
second one.
Yeah,
The
yep, our
Station
second
C
one. So it's Thursday, March 30th at 5:30 to 7. We're doing a little happy hour, and we'll have a portion of those proceeds going to Freddie's organization, Love No Ego.
Mhm.
Freddie was a guest a couple of weeks ago, so that's super
Yeah,
exciting.
Star Hill's so awesome
I know.
about charities and stuff. They always
Yeah.
have like a charity of the month that they help and do events and things for them. They're always so generous. I love their philanthropy efforts and everything. So that's why I think that's one of the other reasons that I love having them at Berry Market.
Yeah, dude, and that's man. I mean, all Star Hill. I mean, if you go to Richmond Newer Tap Room, they do the same thing. They get involved with the community. I mean, we're supposed to do that. That's part of
Yeah.
what we do.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I will say, working with Lindsay and Jace, I mean, they're just so thorough, and you can tell that they genuinely care about. I mean, they had so many questions about what's the mission, how can we support it, and it wasn't just like, yeah, we'll slap that on the calendar. So
Yeah,
super
yeah.
appreciated that.
Yeah, they really wanted to know more about it so that they could
Yeah,
properly support
exactly.
it the way that it deserved.
And something I want to know more about is March Madness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you've been here over the last month, you'll notice there's 6 more big screen TVs. We've relocated some things.
Got
We
the roll down screen, the
roll down
projector.
screens in the front. We
Mhm.
can drop that down for big games. We're now best friends with Xfinity. So we were not for a while, but we are now. So that all works brilliantly. And so March Madness will have some schedules up. Probably do some wing and beer deals along the way.
Yeah, I know Dino's
People
always
here.
really good with working with you guys on doing deals and some of the other merchants.
Are you guys doing stuff for the ACC tournament?
Yeah,
All
them
right.
they'll be showing every game.
That's
We have
now.
a bunch
Yeah,
of TVs
right.
in the dairy
2:30.
market, show all the games. So
Pretty
yeah, I
fun,
mean
right?
it's gonna be
What's the ACC?
And you can-
ACC
the way-
tournament crazy in here.
The way it's set up,
really
and this room's a good example. We have 2 little TVs back here. We can divide up the tap room so you don't have to watch what everybody else is watching.
Yeah.
So which is
Yeah.
kind of nice.
Sarah asked a good question. What's the ACC?
Is that like college? No.
It is. It's the
Coast
Atlantic
Conference.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's
got
for
it.
college
So
basketball.
UVA.
UVA.
Put
a
it in
big
terms I
thing.
understand.
Yeah.
UVA,
Yeah,
could
UVA
be
playing basketball.
Okay.
They're doing really well
You're
this
old
year.
school.
So
Yes.
we're all hoping for a long tournament this year.
Well, the ACC tournament though is like today.
yeah.
This weekend, and then the NCAA's
Yeah.
are next.
First game is tomorrow, right? I know, but first UVA game, the ones that are important.
Oh.
Jeez.
I love them all.
They have a daytime basketball game in 35 minutes.
Yeah.
What happens if you have a job? You just ditch it and come to Star
It's
Hill?
ACC tournament.
Yeah. Put it
You
on
know
your
what? We
computer
have
and
free
stream it.
Wi-Fi throughout the dairy market and plugs, so you can just sit here, have your beer, watch ACC, and work at the same time.
Yeah.
Right.
Remote work
Remote work.
from Star Hill because they have great internet.
We do.
So jealous.
So we have about 3 minutes, and usually we ask an obscure question. I've been trying to think of one. I want to make sure my co-hosts don't have one that they can think of.
What's the best alcoholic drink you've ever had?
Well, that's actually a good one. It's
I
not
think-
really obscure, but what's the best alcoholic drink you've
That
had?
would be Nathan's question.
Would be Nathan's
because he's
question.
going to try it after this podcast.
No, yeah, that's right.
I'm trying out this
No, I just like that's like straight bourbon. So best one is Old Forester Birthday Bourbon.
Huh. I have had some
Neat.
Happy 12. I actually liked the 12-year a lot better than the 15.
I just sold a
But it
couple
was-
bottles.
it
No, I
was-
didn't. It's illegal.
But yeah, it was really good. You know, I really enjoy beer. I literally can sit down and talk to anybody about beer all day long and the combinations and what all the numbers mean and why they should drink this one as opposed to that one. But I do really enjoy beer, and I actually really just started drinking the Love.
Yeah,
Um,
Love's great beer.
I also really like the Murphy's
Murphy's Gold.
Murphy's Gold.
Yeah.
I really like that one. There's another one. I think it's out of season right now, but then like the Wahoo Wah is always really good. It's a nice little,
It's a
go-to
crisp little
staple.
beer.
Crisp little beer.
Yeah.
It's really great. Everybody likes it. You can bring it to a party.
And they sell it
You
at
know,
the UVA games.
They sell
They
it at
do?
the UVA games. Yep. And yeah, I mean, I really like that one. But I've been digging
Oh,
in
that's
bourbon.
love.
I like
Throw an orange in the Love.
Really?
Lime, yeah, yeah, that's good stuff.
Sounds like a good idea.
I'm an IPA guy too when it comes to beers.
See,
Yeah.
IPA, okay, now I'm going to talk about beer more. IPA, I have to have it at the right temperature, outside, and with, I mean, like I pair it with food like I do wine. So it's like,
Yeah.
I do like an IPA, but has to be certain way.
There's
to
so
drink
many
it.
nuances.
Yeah.
With the
Yeah.
IPAs.
Yeah.
It makes it
Well,
nice.
What's your
I,
favorite?
I love thinking about you being the executive producer of your IPA experience and this podcast studio.
I moved
Um,
everything around today, made everybody move their seats.
got her
I
hat
made our
on.
team
It's the
go, I
hat.
don't like this. Let's do that.
It's the hat.
in
I
charge.
actually, I don't drink really. So I will give a little shout out to the amazing bartenders in Charlottesville. Another way that I see their artistry is when I ask for a mocktail and they make me whatever they want to make me. And it's always incredible.
Well, you're a vegan, so you don't drink a lot of beer
I don't
either.
drink a lot
Though I hear that Star Hill may be doing a vegan form of beer. soon.
Gluten free.
I cannot
Or
confirm
gluten-free,
nor
sorry, not
deny
vegan,
Yeah.
that.
not vegan, gluten-free.
Yeah.
That you may be doing a gluten-free version of beer soon.
I'm on the
Ah,
edge of my seat waiting.
Little insider tip.
How you
So
doing?
And now for
I
you.
know, now I did it.
If I was on a desert island, it
we
would
go.
probably be a beer, but my favorite drink is a bourbon slushy that I had in Austin, Texas.
Ooh.
Slushy. All right.
Bourbon sweet tea, a little Cointreau, and orange
That
juice.
sounds delicious.
It does.
it-
Sweet teas.
It was off the hook.
Nice.
I really like a pre-prohibition Manhattan. So it's
Yeah.
really just more like dry vermouth, a little bit of bitters, bourbon on the rocks, nothing fruity
You
and
like
sassy
Manhattan?
that it is right
Manhattans go to Chicago. Old fashions go to Wisconsin. They take drinking to a whole
I'm
other
sure.
level.
Man,
And then you have New Orleans.
Yeah.
I wish we had more time because I really want to talk about ice and bourbon drinks. Like we had this conference once in
Big deal.
Austin, and,
Yeah.
and it was like a big. There was all these different
Absolutely.
bourbon bars,
Mhm.
and they all had ice makers.
Right.
So hearing that you had a slushy, I mean,
Yeah.
what was that ice like?
Slushy.
Slushy.
I mean, yeah, but how do you make that ice?
It was so
Slushy.
they had like a
Some people
sweet
hand
tea
crush and
slushy,
stuff
and they would pour the bourbon
Okay.
and the other ingredients in it, and give
in
it a
the
stir.
slushy.
and-
Okay.
And then maybe-
Yeah, it was awesome.
That's awesome.
I don't like a lot of ice. I like a little bit of ice.
Yeah, but what
Which
about
lets
those
it
big
bloom a
ice?
little
Yeah, well,
bit,
if we
as
go
you
into
say.
bourbon,
Is
I,
that
I like
water?
the big ice because there's less surface area to melt in the bourbon, and it kind of spreads out the bourbon, so it gets colder all the way around. When you put cubes in
There's a
it,
science
like,
to it, Nathan.
give me a dirty
pieces on there,
glass.
Some of it's not as cold.
An
and the
ice
ice starts
cube.
to melt. You get more water.
It's
Have
a
you,
non-
speaking of bourbon, have you been to Ragged Branch?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
I tell people when they come here all the time looking for a distillery, that's really good bourbon, and
Yeah.
that's local.
I got a couple of their little limited.
That's
Yeah,
our
it's
next,
good stuff.
our next field trip.
Good stuff.
Yeah, if they bring some, we'll have you back on. All you gotta do is bring us a little bit of
In the
swag.
and the
Awesome.
kilt with the bourbon.
That's what we're doing this.
We'll wear my
We're gonna bring
kilt.
us
We
free
can drink
bourbon.
bourbon.
Yeah, there we go. And that's
Yeah.
gonna be a 2.5-hour long
Yeah,
podcast.
could be-
We'll
could
put
be
this
right.
in-
Buckle up.
Well, don't
Yeah.
tell any of our bosses. We're gonna go drink some beer and taste it. And
Well, we're
don't
getting
worry, we'll
our
spit it out. I
optimal
promise.
little
Turn the
space.
cameras off.
All right, well that's it. That's week
Episode
7. Yeah, episode 7. We're still here.
Lucky number
Who
7.
knew?
Maybe not for 8. We'll
Yeah.
see.
We'll see. Yeah, so come back, same time, same channel. Check us out on YouTube. Check us out on LinkedIn.
Thank you,
For
Star Hill.
Eleanor,
Thank you, Sir.
Sarah,
Yeah,
and
sure. Thanks for having me.
Star Hill
Thank you,
Extraordinary.
Scott.
We'll see you next week.
See you guys.